There is no hood like parenthood. Hi, I'm Kanika Chadda Gupta. I'm a former CNN journalist, mom of 3, including twins, and host of That's Total Mom Sense, the podcast. Now, if I had $1 every time I heard, gee, you have your hands full. On my show, I interview change makers on their life lessons, legacy, and superpower of intuition, which I call our mom sense and dad sense. I've had the privilege of working with Mom 2.0, March of Dimes, and the White House, and have had some pretty amazing parents on my show.
Hey, what's up? I'm Kelly Rowland.
Hi, this is Chelsea Clinton.
It's me, Bobby Brown. Can't wait to share my story.
That's Total Mom Sense is a production of the Evergreen Podcast Network. Be sure to subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts and on YouTube so you never miss an episode. To join my tribe, visit that'stotalmomsense.com and follow me on Instagram at Kanika Chadda Gupta. Now let's dive into today's episode. My family is a rambunctious party of 5, and living organic is a priority for us. We sleep for 1/3 of our lives. Think about that. So it's important for me to know that my kids aren't breathing in unnecessary chemicals 10 to 12 hours a night. I discovered Naturepedic at a mom conference and have been a believer ever since. They're a company that designs mattresses, pillows, and bedding that are certified organic with numerous awards to prove it. I love the Verse collection, which is 100% GOT certified organic cotton and wool, is free from glues, adhesives, or polyurethane foam, and passes flammability standards without fire retardants or chemical additives. Plus, for my twins, their 2-in-1 transitional kids mattresses were a game changer. Once they were potty trained, we could just flip from the waterproof side to the quilted side. If you're looking for organic sleep essentials for your family, look no further. Shop at naturepedic.com and use my code MOMSENSE to receive 15% off your order. And rest assured, pun intended, you're in good hands. Welcome to That's Total Mom Sense, the podcast where intuition meets intention. I'm your host, Kanika Chadda Gupta. I'm a proud mother, journalist, and cultural observer. Today, I'm honored to be joined by Harmonia Rosales, an Afro-Cuban American artist whose stunning Renaissance-inspired works reframe classical myths through the lens of Black femininity and the diaspora. Her debut illustrated epic, Chronicles of Ori, reimagines African myths with breathtaking beauty. Harmonia, welcome to That's Total Mom Sense.
Thank you for having me on, and thank you for that wonderful introduction.
Oh, absolutely. You have such an illustrious career, and I'm so excited for the audience to get to know you better, me included. Tell us a bit about your childhood and, where it all started.
As long as I can remember, I've always created worlds through my art, and I got lost in them. My mother was an author illustrator, and so I would camp out right underneath her art easel, and I would try to emulate her in all the ways possible and paint what she painted. I guess that's where my love of art came from. She was my first introduction to art, I thought it was just so fascinating that she can just create people on canvas,
Yes, that's beautiful. And I think really pivotal for a child because we live in our own world and, let our imagination run free. And to be able to put that into a 3D format for others to see is incredible.
Yeah, I remember I used to run to her all the time. And this is where I think it was paper dolls were just starting to not have it anymore. It was starting to fade out. I would tell her Mom, can you draw me a paper doll, because I love to just draw the outfits on it. And so I was I want her to look just like me and all these kind of things. So it was really I thought it was her superpower.
When did you pick up, your first paintbrush and kind of get exposed to art and create your own affinity for it?
Well, I would say I could remember at about 4 or 5. She allowed me to play with her paints, and which I really loved, and her paintbrushes. She would take her old paintbrushes and she would be like, okay, here, she would reach down where I was underneath her paint and And she would give me like a brush and let me get a little bit of the paint on a palette. And I would just, you know, just play with it. It was soothing for me, especially as a child. It made me dive deeper into my imagination. And so, I mean, that's when I could really remember at that young age that this is like what I want to do. My mom does it. I could do this. This is fun. This is great. And I just kind of continued on until, you know, life happened and art isn't seen as something financially stable. So
Yeah.
definitely geared towards a different route for a long time. So I found my way back.
Yes. Tell us just some advice you have for parents and kids who have this, penchant for art, how they hone it in. And then, if you can make it a career, amazing. But how they keep it as a through line in their lives, because you've done that and you found your way back.
I would say the most important thing that parents can do for their child is know that their voice matters. And creativity is not really based on talent. It's allowing your child and encouraging them, because it takes a lot of courage to break that mold, the mold that people
Yeah.
want them to. And just to emphasize that your perspective, their perspective is valued. And I
Yes.
think that's the most important thing, no matter what they do, whether it's poetry, whether it's anything they do in life. I mean, I think
Yeah.
that's the work. I mean, for parents to really try to instill in their child. I do want to stress, and this is even for the parents, that creativity does ebb and flow. There's things that will come in. I mean, it's inevitable. Doubt will creep in and will try to dim your light. And as long as you're grounded and you give that encouragement, especially as a child, they will know the right armor to wear to
Mm.
their voice. And just know that even though you feel in doubt and that your light is fading, if you're grounded, that light will come back even stronger.
Tell us about your Afro-Cuban heritage, one that you're so proud of.
Yes. Because it was saturated in my life. So my
Yeah.
mother is Jamaican on one side. She's Jewish and Italian on the other. And so
Wow.
she grew up with her Jamaican side, and she identifies as being a Black woman. And so my father is Afro-Cuban. He was born in Cuba. So I'm first generation on his side, American, and pretty much like a product of migration for both, because second generation from
Yes.
my side. So they came together because they found a similarity in the spiritual beliefs. And
Mm.
living in Chicago around my father's parents, I was just more heavily just influenced in the culture. And it was then that I really just kind of learned about these African gods, this other mythology that's not taught. And it was just a norm for me. That's, I guess, where it all kind of started, because my mom, also being an artist, I mean, I understand now, creativity can eat up hours and you don't even
Yeah.
know what time it is, whatever. And she was always constantly in her art. So I was constantly over at my grandparents' house, right across the street, just being creative and being free and being around my grandmother. And being around my grandmother was very special because she was stronger than I could ever imagine. Just her. And the outside, she looked like a housewife, but she was so much more. And now that I reflect back on that, I see how strong she was, because she grew up in the hills of Cuba. So that's where you
Okay.
have the of, Cubans, the Palenques, community, as they mixed in with the Africans that were brought over. And they preserved their stories because they found a similarity, just much like my parents did. So they
Mhm.
came together. The most valuable thing that they can pass down to their children was these stories, and to preserve them, because it was being taken away from them. And so
Mm.
was to keep that culture, keep these stories. And so she married my grandfather, who was very educated. My grandmother's she only had a fifth grade education. And she, no matter what, even her move to America, she was like, I'm not trying to learn English. She didn't for years.
Okay.
and she, I,
I love that. Out of protest. It's like,
and he was very much, I'm American. I'm here. I'm American.
yeah.
I'm following this religion. And she was like, no, I'm sticking to this, No matter what, you can do what you want to do. This is me. And since that was the most valuable thing she had, she passed it on to my father and passed it on to me as well. And
Mm.
that. And actually, everything I have done beyond what I started is also to continue her legacy.
I love that you're, recreating these traditions in the modern day because I want to get into just African mythology. I started researching a lot about it before this interview and interviews that you've done in the past and was just so fascinated. There's so many similarities between Hindu mythology, I'm, Indian, and of course Greek mythology. And so there's something so connective about that. My kids remind me that we were Pangea at one time. It was the world was just one big blob, and then eventually oceans, separated everyone. But like, I feel like there was this unified thinking and storytelling and morals that we lived by. And so everyone has their own versions after a while. But yeah, tell us about African mythology, how you learned it, and then now, how you're recreating it for us to appreciate.
I learned it through my grandmother.
Yeah.
And these are just singular stories. They're supposed to be teaching stories about
Right.
metaphors.
Like
So they never,
fables in a way.
right. They never tied together, and they probably did tie together at one point, but unfortunately, it's been severed and it's been
Mm.
slowly being attacked by erasure. Continued on to this day, and even though we have probably 1 million people that know the stories, it's not in our Western canon.
I'm thinking back to my childhood and my first introduction to traditional African stories. Anansi, the spider. I still remember that. And that's a spider god, right?
Right.
And so she was like the trickster. And as I was researching, I saw that as, just a vast continent, there are so many gods from Kenya, from Ghana, from Rwanda, like,
Yes.
and they each have their stories. So it's really layered, and they're going to come and originate from various countries. So give us like a little, recap on what African mythology is as a comprehensive, story form and art form.
It was an oral tradition. And yes, there are various on the continent, various different gods. But there
Yes.
are similarities, and we see the similarities, even with Greek, even with Norse and Roman. It's very similar, just it's changed by the history of the land and the area and the people. So I was like, when I wrote this, I was like, all right, this, I'm going to, since there are some similar ones, and we don't know throughout history how they combined, how they separated, what happened within their transformation of themselves. We don't have any record of it, unfortunately. So I was like, all right, I can play with this a little bit, and I can take these similar gods, and perhaps I can write something that is not stating that this is the African epic, but it's a version. It's a piece.
Mm.
And that piece is going to relate directly to me, because anything that you write, anything that you create has to come from yourself in order to invoke that emotion. And you have to write what you know. And so I was like, all right, I'm going to tie it into a history of how these gods became massed across oceans. It'll add some history beyond the docks, and then it'll show that they are still living and that we have a connective force that goes beyond oppression. Because I think currently, right at this moment, if you look at all the other cultures,
Mm-hmm.
take the side of me that's the Jewish side of me. The Holocaust itself is not their entire story. It's only one chapter of their entire history. And so their connective tissue is the Exodus, is, that. And that's where they bond. And what do we have? When I'm speaking about the African diaspora, we bond with just the oppression part, the
Yeah. Yes.
enslavement. And we have nothing else to connect to that empowers us, that shows our beauty and our strength and our divinity. And so that's why I was like, okay, mythology, we need something. We need to start with something. And perhaps this can inspire like others to
Yes.
begin to start writing just beyond, across oceans, beyond the docks and everything.
That's beautiful. I want to tie it back to just the similarities that are at play with the gods. So tell us a bit about them. Let's start with Zeus. Okay. So Zeus is a lot like in Hinduism, Shiva. He has a Trishul. It's like a trident. And it's another reminder that there's a trifecta involved, which is also seen in Christianity with the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. So it's just amazing that they're all in there. So which African god is the most like Zeus?
So I would say for Zeus, he's like a combination, but I would steer more towards Shango because he was very his personality, I align it with Zeus. You know, he was definitely a womanizer. He's very erratic, very powerful, and doesn't really follow like the rules per se. And that's what lightning is, right? So since they connect to nature, that's how it's like erratic. It's good,
Yes.
and also it can be life threatening. Or
Let's
Oshun.
find. Yes.
So Oshun, the goddess of love and beauty and all that, it's very much like Venus,
Like
Aphrodite.
Venus. Yes. Yes. I was thinking for Hinduism, it would be, I'd say like a mix between like a Lakshmi Mata, and she's the goddess of wealth, but also signifies prosperity, like in its most intrinsic form. It's not about material wealth. And the lotus flower. And then Durga Mata is just this warrior princess. She rides a lion. So I feel like that's very, I don't know, Venus-esque. The last one is if you have a goddess of knowledge. So in Hinduism, it's Saraswati, and in Greek mythology, it's Athena. So is there maybe a god or a goddess of knowledge in African mythology? Or
That's the thing.
many?
They all have their own knowledge. So knowledge comes from,
Mm.
since they're nature gods, it's not only, I'm talking about nature as in like outside.
Yeah, like
um,
the elements.
right, the elements. Not it's there are the elements, but they're also, if you think of your destiny as a god itself, right? That guide that guides you to your destiny, its home is a garden. And so if
Yes.
you think about a garden and tending the soil and having the rivers flow, and Oshun resembles fertility, rivers to flow to cultivate the land, or the soil itself, Oko, you know, like all these, if you think about that, you think about each Orisha tends to that. So if you need
Ooh.
to cultivate the land, then that's who you invoke because they have knowledge of that particular aspect. And it kind of like
Mm.
shows how we are as a community, right? We don't have just, it's not one person that has all the knowledge. We can all learn from each
Yeah.
other, no matter where we are. You can learn from a child, like I have, that started my career. You can learn from somebody older, but everybody has something to teach, definitely.
Yes, that's beautiful. Tell us about the orishas that you've depicted in your paintings and your sculptures too.
So they're all of them. Actually, I try to tell the story one by one. I started out with the ones I know, the ones that have influenced me, and the ones I remember. And then I just expanded upon that. So what started off as something I did to show my daughter that she is represented in art is it blossomed into a discovery of deeper, a research deeper into my own culture and just what it means in just general. And so it's like I started teaching her, and then I just started learning more about myself.
Yes, and teaching does that to you.
Yeah.
You find that like you're actually a forever student, and learning is that much more exciting when you have to recount it for somebody else, you know?
Yeah.
That's great. Does she have like her say in how you paint, or even it's hard to pick a favorite, orisha, but it's like one that maybe she resonates with a lot and is like, "Oh my god, I love this painting that mama made."
I think that her favorite one was when she was little. So it was like I would say like probably Oshun, probably like the birth of Oshun. It was a lot of like it was flying feathers, ocean, and you had this beautiful woman in the center with this gold vitiligo, and so she loved that one. But I think she loves all the paintings, but sometimes now that she's a teenager, it becomes taken almost for granted, but I know everything happens in cycles. I learned these stories and I forgot about them, or I just took it as so. And it came to me the moment it needed to come to me, like once again,
Right,
you
yeah,
know?
you can't control that stuff. It just lands. Tell us about the painting behind you. It's really striking.
It's
Yes.
still a work in progress. It's looking
Oh
at
my
me.
gosh. Okay. Ooh, I love it. We got a sneak peek.
But it's all about transformations. I mean, I love that word. It's just because we all transform. The landscape transforms. We transform as individuals. We are not the same person we are 10 years ago. And so this one behind me is just embodies transformations. And it's Yamaya and Aganju, and they're entwined. And there's a story that goes that she is not just subjected to be the mother. Because when we think of Yamaya, oh, she's the mother. She's the mother to the fish. She's the mother to all. She's a mother. But what I really wanted to show, and just being a mother myself, is that we are beyond motherhood as well. So we are individuals. We have passion. We're stronger than we know or what people believe us to be. And so she actually, she controls the moon, which controls the tides, which controls a lot more on earth than we think she does. And so since she meets the core of the earth, who's Akanju, they come together only once in order to tilt earth off its axis, in order to bring it into transformation and the seasons. And so that's what that painting over there means.
Wow. It's gorgeous. And I love that we got to see a little bit into your work. I can't believe it's not finished yet. And tell us about some of the works that you're most proud of. I know you create such special pieces of art for display, for clients. Like, walk us through some of those.
I stay away from commissions. I used to, of course. You got to make money as an artist. I've been blessed enough where I don't have to do that anymore. I do it when it aligns with my message, and if it's a public commission. I want my work, it's very important for my work to be public facing. And when I sell my work, I believe I have one mission, is to tell one message, this message. And it's to show us in divinity and beauty. And so I'm going to do that in any way possible. And since I only make about 10 a year, I would prefer it to go to an institution, or if it has to go to a private collection, a collector, I'm in communication enough where they will allow that painting to be displayed in a museum.
Hey there, that's Total Mom Sense fam. It's Kanika. I recently interviewed Christy Lord and Lindsay Droz, the two powerhouse moms behind the brand Levant Collective. The name is derived from the French words laver, to wash, and avant, to be ahead. I am a bona fide neat freak, and I swear by their products. Some of my faves are the hand soap, laundry detergent, and room spray that make cleaning feel luxurious. The multi-purpose cleaner works on countertops and even gets stubborn stains out of the sofa. Everything is plant-based, paraben-free, and phthalate-free, and have naturally derived fragrances like bergamot, clean linen, and their all-new winter fur, which leave lingering soft notes that aren't overpowering. Each package comes wrapped in a box, so it fits in with your decor and doesn't look like clutter. And most products range from just $20 to $30. You've got to try this brand. Shop levantcollective.com and use code MOMSENSE to receive 20% off your order. That's Levant Collective, spelled LAVANT collective.com, and use code MOMSENSE, MOMSENSE, for 20% off. A bientôt. With Chronicles of Ori, your book, that's a whole other rebirth for your work and you to be able to create something that we can hold and flip through like that. I can't wait for it to be out in the world. Tell us how that came to be.
I'm actually really nervous about that. Words are a different part of creativity. And it was definitely this major thing I took on. But in the words of like Maya Angelou, if you want to read a book, create one, make it. You want to see something, make it. So I was like, oh, I don't want to wait around. I had this vision. And it came kind of easy because when I began painting and I had this one solid message I wanted to get out. I wanted to get the stories out. I wanted to have our culture, my culture, reposition it because it was positioned as something sinful, something like, evil, reposition the practices and everything as something more godly. And so I was painting this and also telling the story. So I was painted in my own way, my own versions. But I didn't realize, because I was just doing something I loved, it's still connected to me. It's still grounded to my roots. So everything that stemmed from that, think of it like a tree, it all had the roots. So anything that branched off, it still was connected. So when it came time to tell this story, because I found myself exhibition after exhibition, what I noticed with each exhibition, people didn't have a place to go to in order to understand my work. All they can do, especially when it branched off from, I couldn't compare the stories to the ones we all know. So the Renaissance works we all know. And so I was like, all right, this becomes difficult because I find myself standing in front of it, telling the stories. And I was like, people need something that they can refer to.
Right.
And how was I going to start writing this book, this epic? This is a lot. Where am I going to start? And I'm like, wait a minute. I've already was doing it visually, like the story. And so all my work, all my artwork connects and almost connects linearly. And so I was like, oh, this is perfect. So I'll use my artwork that I know and I'll begin to tell the stories. First, we write out all the stories. And then it needs a connective tissue. Because I was like, why hasn't this been in books? It's a simple question, right? We have everything, but where's our stories from the diaspora? So maybe because it's so expansive.
Yeah.
And
the oral tradition, how you said it, get the erasure.
Yeah. And I'm not trying to homogenize Blackness into one, but we do have one thing in common, and that's the erasure. And so I was like, all right, that can be my antagonist.
Yes. Yes.
And the story, the overarching arc that could connect all the stories is how they became masked in these Christian saints across the ocean. And how we forgot who was behind the masks. And so all my book does is just unmask them. These are who we've always looked up to. This is our connection to our roots. So hopefully I was telling that history and it can just start generating other people from different parts of that diaspora to want to just create their own.
Yes. Yes. Oh, that's beautiful. I want to see your book everywhere, in schools, in, art institutions, and I want to see your works at the Louvre. Like, this is we're manifesting that. Yes, because, you're really devoted to the unmasking and being true. You're telling the truth. All of these stories happened. They created an entire culture, and we don't know them and we're not taught them. We need to go back to the truth.
Exactly. And that's one thing that I really want to emphasize is I'm not rewriting history. I'm just including us into the canon where we should have been all along.
Exactly. And I know you've said this in interviews past, but it's like celebrating the divinity rather than seeing portrayals in chains and, yes, because that's not the only thing that happened in Black culture. Yeah. Tell us about your motherhood journey and how that transformed you, because that's a whole other.
Yes. My kids are everything. So my kids actually transformed me for the better, and they started me on this career. Before that, I felt like I was off alignment. What's interesting is I could feel it, but I didn't notice it. I didn't notice it till I had my daughter and I saw it through her eyes, because as a mother, you want to protect them. You want them to feel beautiful. You want them to feel smart, and you have this protective nature. And so I was like, oh my God, I have to lead by example, because right now I'm so lost and I don't want her to grow up that way. No, she has something about her. And how am I going to fix that? And it was so interesting because I didn't know what I wanted to really do in life. I mean, I knew I wanted to do art, but I felt like there needs to be a story. There needs to be a connective tissue. And I was so disconnected. So when I was like, all right, I'm going to teach my daughter, look, you have a history. You have stories. You have these goddesses that are like you. And I was like, oh, well, you know what? That's something missing in society in general. And I want her kids and the generation after her to see these images and be empowered. And so I was like, all right, I'm gonna paint it. I'm gonna use my talents, what I know, in order to do my part in this. And that's the only thing that you can do in your lifetime, right? And so I was like, let me paint this world so she can feel like she belongs. And this is the
Wow.
only artwork that she's going to grow up looking at. And she's going to know that, and she's going to love herself. And I'm going to let you know, this girl loves herself. Okay.
That is a good thing. Oh my goodness. Was there like a mom sense moment that you could pinpoint? And by that, I mean a moment that you trusted your intuition, as you were raising your kids, that you were like, I've got this. I know what to do here. Like, leave it to me.
Well, it was my daughter. That's who she
Mhm.
started on the career path. But it was my son who helped broaden my view, because with my daughter and being a single parent, I was all about feminism. And it's going to be female goddesses and female charge and everything like that. And these are these Black women and in the center. And then I was raising a little man.
He's like, where am I?
Right. And what we have to remember is that if there is only a select few of artists painting divinity in this way in history, that I have to include the Black male.
Right.
It was very important because he has to grow up feeling strong too. And so it leveled me. So here I was female, and now it leveled me where, okay, I'm telling the story of both the female and male version and giving them equality and equal balance. And that's what it is.
Mm.
Right? So even telling the myths, there's a harmony involved and there's a balance. And that you need both the female and male energy to create anything
Yes.
in life, in
Yes.
nature.
Now let's go into just a fun little rapid fire. I'm going to kick it off with a favorite childhood drawing or painting, some sort of creation that you did that you still remember.
I would say it's my favorite because I won an award.
Ooh.
And I was very quiet in school. I didn't think anyone, noticed me or anything. And they usually have, what is it, the Scholastic Award?
Yes.
And so, so they're like, okay, draw it right. And I was like, oh, okay. So I was like, what am I going to draw? And it was this little black piece of paper that you can scratch into it. And,
Mm-hmm.
and I wanted to travel at that moment. And I was like, I wanted to envision myself, like, where did I want to go? And I was like, oh, I want to go to Paris because I want to see all the museums. All the museums have all the, like, they have all the art, and I want to go there. And so I drew a picture of the Eiffel Tower and me laying, but it was kind of like a dream thing and me drawing. And I loved it because it actually won. And I didn't think it was that good, but it helped encourage me. It's that encouragement. But also I reflect back to it. I still have it. It's interesting because I've gone to Paris, a few times now, and it's all because of my art. Like my art has saved me and has
Mm.
all my manifestations, my dreams have come true because it was through my art. My art as a career has provided me with enough to travel, has provided me enough to take care of my children, to do things that I want to do. It's amazing how doors can open when you're on alignment.
That is incredible. Oh my gosh. It's like you foreshadowed it and
Right.
manifested it as a young girl. That like, I know Paris is going to happen. You have a dog named Paris.
I
Yeah, I mean, Paris is on the cards, and
do.
and your drawing and your artwork is what took you there over and over. And I mean, I'm telling you, chapter 2, Louvre, watch out.
You know what?
Your
Crazy
works.
cool? Paris is actually very significant to me too, because I got
Mm.
engaged in Paris to my second husband.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow. Look
everything
at
happened.
that. Yes. And I really do believe in like manifestation, synchronicity. Like there's nothing that's coincidence. It has all been written. And
Right.
so, yeah, when you find those moments and look back, like, walking up and winning that Scholastic Award with the Eiffel Tower, that was meant to happen.
Yeah.
And the
Yeah.
engagement later and everything.
Absolutely.
That's amazing. Amazing. Tell us about an Orisha that you haven't yet created that you're like, okay, this is on the cards. I'm going to do this.
Well, I painted her before. It's a small portrait, but I had included it in this art auction. So I don't know who it went to. Somebody has it. And it was small, and it was of Oya. Oya is the goddess of transformation. She's the wind. And I sensed her now super strong just because she's its driving force. She's actually the narrator of the book because she talks about transformations, and she's
Ooh.
strong. that warrior goddess, that the
Yes.
hero.
Yes. Yes.
She's that fierce warrior, and she's calling to me to actually make a painting of her, like a full-bodied one. I don't know how she's going to be positioned. I don't know what she's going to. I have painted her story about freedom, but she needs to stand alone, like a full portrait. I don't know why.
Mm.
She's calling to me next. There's also other ones that I do want to depict, but I usually go with my sense. And right now, maybe because I feel like I'm going through some transformations, especially with this book and everything, that she's just calling to me right now.
Oh, that's so cool. Listen to her.
Yeah.
She knows. She knows what's up. Are you a morning person or a night owl in the studio?
I'm a night owl.
Mm.
But but I mean, it depends. So in general, I don't wake up. I'm not a morning person. I'm very grumpy. I need my coffee. And then I head down to my studio and I stare at the canvas pretty much all morning. And I try to paint, but I end up just sitting on the floor with Paris and staring. And then the creative juices don't get started till about 6, and it can go on till maybe 3 in the morning. And then when I'm on a roll, I could go to sleep for 5 hours, wake up, and then continue to paint. So
Oh,
it's depends on
wow.
the flow, if that makes
Yes.
sense.
Yeah. You're just leaning into the flow.
Yeah, I don't have
That's
actually
great.
routine, like, at all.
What pointers do you have for, our listeners on incorporating artwork into their homes and spaces? Like, what are some rules of thumb?
Don't overthink it, especially to all the parents out there specifically.
Yeah.
Your home is the world your kids see. It's from the outside world. It's like 90% of their lives, they're in this world. And so, what are you going to decorate it with? So, for you, you can start off by putting things that, it doesn't have to be expensive art, but art that evokes some emotion in you, that tells a story. It could be an object that tells a story that resonates with you. It could be your children's artwork, nicely framed. It could be pieces of your culture, your
Yeah.
heritage. I really believe that since children they absorb everything around them, and you can't really control what's in the school systems and institutions. And so,
True.
trust me, I'd love to change a lot.
I know.
So
Yeah.
balance that out by what you put in your home and what you teach them and what they see. So if they are not going to see, they're not going to see themselves outside the house, put that inside the house.
My last question is, as Chronicles of Ori arrives and it's put out into the world for everybody to have and hold and read, what's the first thing you're going to do?
I'm going to probably take a day of silence. I think I think I could get overwhelmed easily.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna try to. It's gonna be hard because I'm gonna be on my book tour, but I want to take as much time to just take time away from the phone, away from everything, because I think it's needed. Because I tend to concentrate so much on the future and maybe comments rather than
Mm,
just strengthening like my own.
like inner
How do you
power.
Yeah, just your own successes, like, this is a book. This is my first book I've never even tried to write before.
Yes.
So I just need to understand that, look, like, you did this no matter what. You did this, you tried your best, and yeah, I just have to pause. So that's what I'll be doing. I'll probably be under a rock somewhere.
Yeah. That's awesome. And I mean, we are just putting out all the good vibes and juju that everyone gets their hands on it
Yeah.
and uses it as a resource and a tool. It's going to be a wild success. I have no doubt. Any parting thoughts to share with the audience?
The importance of this book goes beyond what I have written. It's the meaning of acquiring this book and what it means to the African diaspora. I truly feel like if this is taught in schools alongside Greek mythology, we can really begin to see ourselves as like powerful, but also I really truly believe others will start seeing us as that as well, because we need to understand that our mythologies, our stories matter and can contribute to the canon. to history. And I think that's just really important.
That's beautiful. And where can everyone who's tuning in find you, support you, see your works?
So I have two major things coming up. I think everything also accumulates all at once. It's amazing. So I also sculpt, and I haven't done it in a long time. And I've been so immersed in painting. And an opportunity came up, and I'm so grateful for King's Chapel in Boston to do a memorial for the enslaved individuals that were part of the congregation and helped build. And so I did this massive 14-foot Black woman that sits on sits right in front of the church, and it'll be revealed in September. So
Oh my gosh.
yes, that's going to be exciting for me. And that's something I'm very, very proud of. And also I have, which is another very important thing to me, is that I do have a show at the Getty. I'm in conversation with their works. And the Getty, first of all,
Wow.
is so important to me because when we first moved to LA, my kids had taken a trip to the Getty. And I was like, how did you like it? How did you like the art? And they were like, it's the white museum, right? And then I was like, oh yeah, well, it's white. Yeah, it's big. It's the big white museum. Like you take the train up there. Like, no.
The inside too.
Because they're so used to seeing my work. And then so I was like, oh, and I was like, that's true. So
yeah.
This for them to just be like, oh, just open arms about this. I'm so excited. And it's about creation. And I just love how they're just comparing the different versions of creation, which is all I ever wanted. And so I'm just really excited about that. And that's in January.
Congratulations. Oh, I can't wait to see that. That's like something to look forward to in 2026.
Yes.
Wow. And where can we follow you?
My newsletter on my site is just harmoniarosales.art. Sign up. You'll get all the updates. Or if you're on Instagram, Honey, HONEIEE. And I update that more frequently of just, paintings and stories and tour dates, all that.
Harmonia, you are a gem. You have this angelic aura about you, and I am so happy that you're sharing these creations of yours with the world. So thank you so much for joining us today and telling us your story.
Thank you so much for having me. It was a joy talking to you.
Thanks for listening to this episode of That's Total Mom Sense. You can listen to the audio version wherever you get your podcasts. Just search for That's Total Mom Sense. You can learn more about my guests by logging on to www.thatstotalmomsense.com. Be sure to follow me on Instagram, where I'm most active on social media. My handle is @Kanika Chadda Gupta. And if you have ideas for show topics or guests you can't wait to have on the show, write to me at thatstotalmomsense@gmail.com. And lastly, please rate, review, and subscribe to That's Total Mom Sense if you haven't already. Thanks for being in my tribe.